You're listening to the Oneofus.net podcast network.
Dun 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 dun.
Are you singing RoboCop? I'm not sure.
Nobody knows that theme, huh?
Well, no, it's just from a much better movie.
Oh,
it's just that it didn't sound like what I thought it was. This is the only thing.
It's a dun dun dun.
See, that sounds more like
dun,
it.
But the dun dun, that's how it starts. Anyway,
okay.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Oneofus.net review of Pacific Rim Uprising, Unleashed, Resurgence,
Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo. Yeah, I'm Matt.
I'm Mike.
Elliott.
And we have ourselves a little round table here. Surprisingly, not on the Giganticast.
Yeah, amazingly enough.
Yeah, well, you know,
it's a mini episode.
This will probably get more traffic than my stupid show. But,
don't show yourself short.
I love that shirt. Like you're wearing, Matt's wearing this 8-bit Pacific Rim shirt. It's like a fighting screen, and it's amazing.
It's 8-bit. Yeah, I think I got this.
It's Godzilla versus Rim.
It's Godzilla versus Pacific Rim. I seriously was about to go down all the characters, but we don't have time.
Yeah.
Maybe we do. I don't know. But let's talk about this movie.
Yes. So, for those of you who don't know, who are you? And tell me what rock you've been living under, because I could use some peace and quiet for a little while. This is the sequel to 2013's Pacific Rim by Guillermo Del Toro. A film that one would probably describe as a cult favorite.
Yeah, very much a cult favorite.
Very much so.
It's so much a cult favorite. It did what other cult favorites do. It had a sequel that at least you can say there was a sequel. I'm trying to be nice. Like
you're getting
that's the nicest thing I've heard him say today.
Of our dissenting opinion here today.
I dissent.
I know you do.
Objection.
But let's real quick. We'll hit the high points of the plot, I think.
Well, let's just talk about the plot right away. So it's years after the first one.
10 years.
Yeah.
It's 10 years?
10 years?
So,
jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because they mention it as part of the plot. So after 10 years after...
The first 30 minutes is an exposition dump.
Yeah.
Like the first...
totally not like the first movie.
No, but the first... no, that's actually the point, though.
Okay.
In the first 5 minutes, they literally reused scenes from the first movie.
That was a cost-cutting measure, I could tell.
At that point, I knew I was in trouble. But keep on going.
I half expected it to use the Dragon Ball, like last time on Dragon Ball Z.
Last time on Pacific
I half
Rim.
expected it. I wanted that song to play, the one from Super. I wanted to play it so bad. But, sorry. But yeah, it's 10 years after they defeated the kaiju in the
threat to the kaiju
threat. They closed the breach. Everybody was all happy.
They canceled the apocalypse.
Yes, they canceled the apocalypse.
Postponed it,
yeah, more like delayed,
like
penciled in for next Saturday.
They show that Idris Elba's son has now just been living...
That we totally knew about before now.
Yeah, exactly.
They wrote him in.
Somehow.
Yeah.
And he was extremely British. Well, I believe that's his normal voice, actually.
And that doesn't devalue the relationship he had with Michael Mori at all.
No.
Not at all.
But yeah, you find out that he's been living in the ruins of basically, like... L.A., I guess.
Yeah, it's not
every
really
coast.
clear what... Is that Miami?
It's not really called being appealing to the international market.
It's a coast, like, because he explains that not every coast city
gets rebuilt.
Got rebuilt, unlike DC's coast city.
So it's interesting if they explained it. But keep going.
Well, so after that, he finds himself having to go back into action with quotes, so to help train a new series of cadets like Police Academy 4.
Not far off.
All it needed was a cadet that would go around going...
I feel like there was one, though.
Oh, he had the Russian, like Police Academy.
I must break you, kaiju.
There's hints here and there to some of them are. Some are blatantly said, some aren't, kind of thing.
Yeah.
As it progresses, you find out that the kaiju... Or not the kaiju per se, but the people that controlled the kaiju have...
The precursors.
They have a plan to destroy the planet involving some robots, but I don't want to go too far into it.
I mean, do we want to keep this relatively spoiler-free starting out?
I think let's do the final thought, up to final thought spoiler-free, and then let's
Okay, yeah, let's say like
that's a good point.
Like at a certain point, we'll say here's the spoilers, so at that point you can stop.
There is a plan, though. There's shenanigans going on.
Yes, there's a plan to eradicate the Saiyans. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Jesus,
that's the third Dragon Ball reference I've thrown already.
All right, well, that's not one to
It's like Toriyama over here.
Hey,
I've been really hyped since that teaser came out.
Okay,
but let's get past that. So, we'll go. I guess we'll go around.
Is it Broly in the teaser?
Well,
he's in the game trailer, but
we can talk about just.
But let's talk about our thoughts of everybody. So the first thing I have to say is that this is the most I've ever liked Scott Eastwood in anything in my entire life, because I didn't hate
What's
him.
he from?
He's from other terrible movies, such as that Texas Chainsaw sequel. That last Fast and Furious movie.
Oh shit! Did he replace Paul Walker? He was replacing Paul Walker.
He's generic white guy stand-in number 5.
He looks like a character Joe Madureira would have drawn in 1996.
Well,
he's a really bad Clint Eastwood clone. Literally,
the thing that's off-putting is like he looks so much like Eastwood, but can't act.
He can't act to save his life.
You watch him and you're like, I expect you to do better.
I thought he was okay.
Well, that's the thing. That's why he's the best I've ever seen him in, because he was just okay.
He was in Suicide Squad. He played.
I wouldn't know. I don't watch crap. Don't.
Anyone here? Don't worry about it.
I thought John Boyega was fine in this.
Yeah, he was more of a comedian than an action star,
which I was fun. I mean, I liked. I thought he was. He had. You know what I like? This is the. I won't go into it this much, but this movie was the best mainstream case for a bisexual, polyamorous love triangle I've ever seen.
I would have been okay with that.
That's another thing. It's
next to Book of Life.
They'll be drift compatible indeed.
Hey.
But there's nothing wrong with that. But again, they just sort of throw things out.
That's true.
And just sort of, it's like a Rorschach painting of a movie. It's like, we're going to put all this stuff on the screen. You take from it what you want.
Well, you guys explained it pretty well not towards the end, but after the movie was done, is that this is a sequel series that is meshed into a 2-hour movie instead of over like 30 episodes.
And I know Elliott had a reaction to this when I said this after the movie, but I like the original movie. I like it a lot. It's not one of my super favorite kaiju movies of all time, but I really like it. But the main problem I think it has, and this is something that detracts for me personally, but I know that this is the thing that a lot of people don't like about it. It is like a 20 episode, 30 episode anime series. It's trying to hit all these major emotional beats from a 20, 30 episode anime series, but it's trying to do it in 2 hours. And that is amplified in this movie because we have more characters, more plot points.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure I let you get that out. I was like, I really hated this movie, but I don't want to just not let people express themselves. I don't want to be that type of reviewer. But I see what you're saying, and I would have loved for a 30-episode Pacific Rim season 1.
They were talking about doing that at
that
one
would
point.
be fucking amazing, but here's the difference. When you know you're facing that challenge, studios like Marvel, who gets a lot of shit from people who just need to, I feel like from people who need to fill column inches, and when they talk about when are they going down, like people who earn it and really fight with that difficulty of, hey, I have too much plot, how do I shrink this down? Do the work of figuring out the best ways to impart things. So, Pacific Rim starts with a flashback, and we're gonna give you that emotional pathos. Then we're gonna give you more emotional pathos with Mako. We're gonna try our best to reach it as far as we can.
Sure.
This one threw up its hands and said, "Come on, give us a break." And that's
interesting.
I just feel like this movie, it's hollow. You took something that to me, it's like my third favorite. It's my fourth favorite movie of all time.
Really? I didn't know you thought so highly about it.
Pacific Rim.
Loved this movie, like on a level, like it's my.
I'll have to have you on Giganticast so we can talk about this sometime.
No, it is profound to me how good the first movie is.
Well,
like
it's refreshing.
I love the message and talking about grief and loss and getting back what you want. And this movie just sort of says it's like it took the wrong lessons from the movie. It said, "Oh, giant robots. You like the particle beam. You liked all." It didn't really figure out what worked about Pacific Rim.
Well, like me and Matt had a little more conversation about it, like also about the whole sequel series thing. Is that I compared the first Pacific Rim to it's very serious. It takes its material seriously. The problem I've always had with it is that it gives you like a recap, but it feels like the ending of a long running series. It feels like Char's Counterattack, basically. Like I don't like
for it.
Yeah, because Char's Counterattack is the very end of Armoro's storyline kind of thing. So unless you already knew that kind of thing, I still like it kind of thing. But if you don't really know what's going on, that's what it was. But this,
like missing a movie.
Exactly, right. And so this feels like what me and Matt was the one who mentioned it. It's G Gundam. G Gundam, Mobile Fighter G Gundam is a ridiculous fucking anime, but I fucking love it. The best way to describe it is Super Street Fighter Gundam, the Hyper Stereotype Edition, is the way I would explain that anime.
That's why it's my favorite
Gundam. They're not
Gundam.
marketing it like that.
Well, that's the thing is that I don't feel like even the first one marketed it.
No, but the first
one marketed like that though. Compared to this one,
earned its emotional beats.
I'm not saying it didn't. I'm not saying that.
This one has a robot fucking flipping people off,
which is why I think it's like G Gundam.
And then steps on an emotional climax with some stupid fucking song cue. Like, it steps on everything. And honestly, I have literally never done this at a screening. I've never done this at a movie.
Tell me.
I couldn't help. I just started booing. Like,
was that you?
That was you?
That was me. And Martin told me to stop. And I was like, I shouldn't have. But I was so angry.
What exact point did you boo?
When the song came up, when they were launching the Rockets, this is an emotional
scene. The fucking weird song they were doing.
Yeah, and
that was a little.
I liked
off.
it. That's why I just had enough. I was like, let me get this straight. You took a piece of media that people put work and blood and sweat and tears into, and you just do incompetence and studio interference where you found the fucking leftover bits of the Transformers 5 script and put it into this movie, and you want me to, and then you don't have
Savage.
You don't even have the wherewithal to even just let that emotional point stand on its own. We gotta fit a stupid ass little joke in there just to reiterate to you this is the CW fucking version of Pacific Rim.
The thing is, I can't argue with anything that Elliott says because that's the thing is that it all depends on how you will take the movie.
I feel like I could just sit back and I could just watch the two of you bounce back.
Probably because the main thing is me and him have the exact opposite reaction essentially. That because the thing is I'm willing to accept dumb shit, whereas he's not willing to accept that. Not because I don't fault him for it. Kind of thing.
I feel like I kind of sit between the two of you because I overall had fun and I enjoyed it and and I think the main reason I had fun with it was really because of those surface elements, because of the robots and the monsters, and the fact that I didn't hate the characters. Like, I thought the characters were, while super underdeveloped,
but they were fine.
They were fine.
Every character was
fine. And, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna... Now, granted, though, a lot of movies that tend to fall under my purview of big monsters breaking stuff... Jurassic World are movies that I will then later revisit and then realize, I liked it because of this one thing, and I actually don't like this movie.
That's what happened with me in Jurassic World, yes.
Yeah, that happened with me in Jurassic World.
That happened to me too. Like, I loved it when I first saw it.
Same.
I aggressively not aggressively, but I cooled on Godzilla 2014 after a while, because I do think that the opening of the movie is really good and the final battle is really good, there's a big chunk in the middle that feels really boring and truncated.
Yeah, with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, yes.
Cool, yeah. I mean, you're Captain McBoring. What is it? My wife calls him Brickman.
He is like...
He's Brickman, and Brickman, the Avengers of Brickman, Admiral McBad at my job, boring wife, and boring child.
And it's like, hey, we're going to have a Godzilla movie, but instead of showing you Godzilla, we're going to show it on a TV screen in the movie theater.
But see, we're not talking about that.
Yeah,
we're not talking about that.
We've gone off course.
I have a whole thing about that we can get into.
Yeah.
But I actually liked some of the little twists here. There's a big twist partway through the movie that I
enjoyed that twist a lot.
Kind of was like, that's where they're going.
I think it was the smartest thing in the movie.
It was the smartest thing in the movie. I liked that twist because it's one of the only.
I thought that thing was earned, honestly.
No, it was, but it was earned because it came from the first movie.
That's why I'm saying it's the only thing in the movie that was earned.
and it fit with the character, and it was well thought out. And it's like they gave up on making a good movie and they just wanted to make a crowd pleaser.
I could sort of see that. I feel like that's a similar headspace that the Transformers movies try to occupy.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put it in the same
No, it's not as bad as
category.
Transformers. No. But I expect Transformers to be bad. When I say
you hold Pacific Rim to a different standard.
Pacific Rim was profound. Like the end of Pacific.
It's so refreshing to talk to somebody who loves the shit out of that movie.
I like it.
When she when she gets the sword and she slices that monster in half, her entire arc comes full circle,
right?
And you can see her exhale all of her guilt and survivor's remorse and just bad feelings from her entire life in that one action,
right?
And that's because the filmmakers were craftspeople who did their job and earned that moment. And I expect that from this.
Well, let's talk about some of the people who helped make this movie with quotey fingers. So who directed this film?
This was directed by, I believe he was the guy from Daredevil, wasn't he?
Which Daredevil?
Directed by Stephen S. DeKnight. And he was the...
Oh God, he worked on Smallville.
Worked on Spartacus, Smallville.
So much.
Yeah. He worked on Buffy and Angel.
He was reported to join the Transformers universe in the writers' room.
Oh boy. Okay, he was a showrunner. Oh, he took over showrunner.
Oh, he was a showrunner after Drew Goddard left.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
And yeah, he worked in the I knew I recognized story beats from Transformers. I was like, oh, you have a small scrappy robot where the badass women character is the one that made him? Tell me more.
Because the main thing about this movie is that the overlying plot of it feels like it's smartly designed, but it feels like that's what Guillermo came up with, but then he said, oh, I gotta go, and then just threw it to somebody.
Yeah, the strongest elements of this movie is stuff that's either left over from the previous film or built on from the previous film. Like, okay, real quick, I gotta talk about the kaiju, because...
They're super unmemorable.
Yeah, I honestly can't really even remember that much about them. The only one I can remember is the action figure I'm holding here right now that you could, it's an audio, whatever. And Raijin, and he's got this crazy, like faceplate thing, and it's a cool monster, but the kaiju feel like they're on screen. Okay, that is one thing that I will definitely say. Now I'm really nitpicky when it comes to kaiju battles and monster battles and battles in general. I used to write the battles for the Godzilla comics I worked on because there needs to be an ebb and flow to combat. You need to be able to track what's going on.
You don't want your figures to feel like cardboard pieces just going around. It has to have weight.
Right, and I feel like that is a big piece of criticism. Now, again, it's not bad. I didn't think it was, poorly handled. I just think that, again, you compare it back to the first movie, and that the battle in Hong Kong is so well done. It's
just dragging that boat behind him, and you can feel the fucking punches.
That's so cool.
and Otachi is such an interesting creature, the kind of the dragon monster that he's fighting in the city, and it's got all these powers and all these crazy abilities, and then it can fly, and this movie didn't have a Battle of Hong Kong. I was expecting... Oh, yeah, and there were bad Jaegers in this.
Yes, well, that's the thing is I didn't want to, I wasn't sure what I could say spoiler-wise, but I realized that bad Jaegers... I figured that. I just realized, that bad Jaegers themselves isn't necessarily a spoiler, but what it is that, I guess further into the plot, is that the some Jaegers are taken over, and so they have to be... fought to the death with
they're
Jaeger.
Bad Jaegers. That's all you really have to say.
Yeah, that really is what it is. But even then, we kind of knew what the small part of the twist was, I guess. Because that was the thing. Was when they first announced the sequel, the first thing Guillermo said that he wanted to do was he wanted to have kaiju merged with the Jaegers, which they do here, and I thought was pretty kind of cool. Actually, those were the more memorable parts of it.
But that feels like an arc of a series.
That's the
thing they kind of abandoned after a certain point.
Well, and here's the thing: it's something that you can definitely do, and I thought it was the way they executed on it in terms of just the visual. That was damn cool.
I thought it was badass as hell,
and I can get with that. But again, they had the seed of a good idea from Del Toro.
Right.
And they did not respect that material and respect what Del Toro produced to give it to somebody who could really take it and run with it. And if you want to take it away from his direction, I get that. That's your shit now.
Right. But Del Toro did give DeKnight he told him, this is your thing, do with what you will, which... I'm
gonna go make a fish fuck of devil.
I'm gonna go make a fish fucking movie.
But it's like...
I'm gonna win an Oscar.
But he didn't know what he had, and he just thought, okay, I got a job to do, but he didn't care. I don't think...
Do you really feel like he didn't care?
Honestly, I'm actually with Elliott on this one. I felt like they didn't actually care so much as the guy. The reason they got the guy is because he probably helped make Transformers movies, and they're like, well, somebody in the studio probably looked at this and went, well, people want more robots fighting each other, kind of thing. They want more of the robots, they want more of the kaiju, and they probably asked them to do that, and it probably got to the point where certain people on this film just didn't give a fuck. But that's the reason certain dumb things can happen in movies like that.
It definitely lacked the passion project feel of the first movie, because this felt like a disposable quickie sequel, which is so funny considering that it's been how many years?
5 years.
It's been like 5 years.
And I look at this as like this as I was watching one of the battles where they're just indiscriminately just destroying a city.
Yeah,
not even caring. I felt like I was watching a direct-to-DVD sequel.
Yeah, that was the thing that kind of bothered me. That I remember.
I kept looking at Matt, and every time the building was destroyed, he'd look like a little part of him died.
Well, because that was the thing that I appreciated about the first movie. There's a little moment in the first movie that I think speaks to the broader whole of it, where Gypsy Danger steps over the bridge.
Yes. Exactly.
As opposed to this
just
movie,
stepping through it,
where they're just like, what? Didn't Saber Athena drag its swords through a couple of buildings for no good goddamn reason?
Just to stop them.
The main thing,
not put it in the ground, but put it in the fucking building.
The reason I was okay with that is because this is Police Academy 4. Is that all of the pilots weren't all that well trained essentially, so it was something I could forgive.
Let us talk about the pilots. I think those actors did a fine job.
Yeah, I was going to say I really appreciated Kylie Spaney, I think is her name, as Amara.
I liked Amara.
Actually, I liked her. I kind of wanted
she had the most character development.
And that's the thing. If you want to make a movie about a scrappy Jaeger developer, make that movie. It's like an Earth to Echo Me Pacific Rim. I'm with it. Let's
Earth
watch
to Echo.
Hey,
sorry,
God.
I just
tell me I'm wrong.
No, I know.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it. So it's just a deep cut. But go ahead.
But it's like if you want to do that, that's great. But when you're changing the tone so drastically when you had Raleigh Beckett and Mako Mori, two people who were fucking just grizzled and war weary,
right?
And now you got, hey guys, can I fight the Jaegers? This is gonna be great. Oh my god!
I feel like they could have pulled that off had this movie been about her.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, really, let's be clear about something. They wanted John Boyega because he's from Star Wars.
Of course.
And
he basically plays Finn.
It definitely does undermine. It undermines, like you said, it undermines the relationship between Mako and Stacker. And that's the other thing. Now, I think Rinko Kikuchi is a super underappreciated actress.
Oh, I agree.
I've seen her in a couple of different things. Yeah. She hasn't necessarily been in a lot of good material. I saw her in, Kuniko the Treasure Hunter or something? Kumiko the Treasure Hunter. Yeah. Didn't like that movie.
That movie was good, but it was rough.
It has a weird ending, but we're not talking about that. But my point is that she's really good, though. Yeah. She's
wasted in this
violently underutilized in this, and I was honestly mad.
No, I was angry too. It was insulting, and but one problem this movie shares with, and I love Pacific Rim, but there's a problem in Pacific Rim that it shares with its sequel.
Sure,
it's about the wrong character. Pacific Rim obviously was
Charlie Hunnam is the weakest part of the first movie, without a doubt.
Pacific
it doesn't
Rim
exist in this one. By the way,
about Mako Mori. This should have been about
what happened to Raleigh? Where did he go?
He's like,
he just sort of disappeared.
I make King Arthur guys. I don't have.
No, he ran off to go. He ran off to join a biker gang.
Yeah. I was telling Matt he probably just has super mega cancer.
But everybody gets super mega nose cancer.
Why don't we move to final thoughts and then we can do a little spoiler?
Yeah, that's a good. Wait, we're gonna do final thoughts first.
That's the best way of doing it.
That was my words that I used.
That way they can cut off afterwards.
Okay, well, I'm gonna save you.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'll go first. I didn't necessarily think this definitely is not on the caliber of the first movie, and I think a lot of people are going to. Well, the thing is, there's a lot of people. Speaking for the kaiju fandom, there's a lot of people who like Pacific Rim. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who really don't like it, and I think that a lot of people are going to hate this. Personally, I thought it was perfectly disposable, enjoyable entertainment. It was light. It had some fun stuff in it. The characters are fine. It had some twists, and that was fine. It kind of kept surprising me, but overall, though, it's not. If you really do hold Pacific Rim really close to the chest, yeah, it's probably not going to be for you. You're probably going to be disappointed by it. I still recommend it. I recommend taking your kids to see this, though. Yeah. Definitely take... I really want to take my nephews to go see this weekend.
It's made for that age. It's made for 12.
Absolutely. I think kids are going to love this. I would give it... I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10... sweet kaiju tats, bro.
So I think out of the three of us, I like the movie the most. Because the thing is that at the end of the day, this movie is very much... what are you willing to accept kind of thing. I, for some reason, have always been willing to accept some weird shit, and I don't know why.
Like, the anime fan.
We like Japanese stuff, man. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's true. Ironically enough, I don't like Dragon Ball GT still, but the thing is that this...
well, I mean...
this movie is
fucking does.
I do. Yeah, so the main thing about this movie is that the movie is just... it really is just the G Gundam to the Mobile Suit Gundam that the first movie is. Because the first... okay, the best way...
translate.
Yeah, I was going to, though, because the thing is that the original Mobile Suit Gundam is about war. It's about the consequence of war and the fact that war is not fun.
It's the Power Rangers Turbo to the Power Rangers in space.
People will get that reference.
Yeah.
I got it. But no, the main thing about the original Gundam is that it's about war, it's about loss, it's about death, and it's about how fucked up war is. And that's kind of how Pacific Rim is. Pacific Rim is it takes its stuff very seriously. It talks about loss, it talks about death.
Even though it is fairly silly at the same time.
But that's the thing about Gundam itself, is that it's the same way, because it's at the end of the day, it's a show about teenagers piloting giant robots.
Right.
Somebody's going to get slapped to pilot that giant robot.
Get in the robot, Shinji!
G Gundam is...
Get in your mom, Shinji!
That's a reference. But G Gundam is the dumb one. G Gundam is the one where there's a Gundam from Mexico that's called Tequila Gundam.
Yes, I love Tequila Gundam!
And it has a sombrero on. And so that's the thing. It's dumb as hell, but it's fun. It's fun. That's the thing. That's what
Zebra Gundam
is. Exactly. There's a windmill Gundam, for Christ's sake.
Windmill Gundam.
We chose the right crew for this.
Yes. So that's true. But the thing is that this is the G Gundam of Pacific Rim.
Not as good as G Gundam, though.
Here in that context, I get why you like it now.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is that I enjoyed this film much more than I probably should have. But the thing is that you might too, if you are willing to accept something to dumb down your expectations compared to what the first one does. Which I'm not saying is a good thing, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing either. Because at the end of the day, I specifically would give this movie 7.5 out of 10 mobile suit cameos.
Yeah, very nice.
I've said a lot on this review.
This is really your show, man.
Sorry about that.
No,
it's all right. It's all right. It's fun. It's fun.
As everybody knows, I'm just doing it one last time. I emphatically love the first Pacific Rim.
Cool.
It has silly shit in it. I agree, but I can see what they're aiming for, and the emotional beats really hit me the right way. This one, to me, feels hollow. It felt like they got a property and tried to make a quick cash grab on it. And on top of that, the production design is not that good. Everything just feels light.
You didn't like the foam rubber padding on the Jaeger pilot suits?
Yeah, everything just feels like they saw. It feels like they took
that Starship Troopers era combat gear for you.
Yeah, like they took a little bit of Transformers 5 because the guy who worked on it was in that writer's room. They had they took a little bit of Power Rangers with the suits in the setting. And they said, "Oh, we gotta let's set it in Japan partially too, so that we can get some nerd points."
I don't mind that.
No, but that's by design.
Sure.
And so it's just very disingenuous. But even then, it was a competently made movie. The film never shut off.
The reel didn't break partway through. It didn't give me syphilis.
So for that, I got to give it at least a 3.
Ooh.
3
Damn.
horrible Jaegers out of 10.
Horrible Jaegers.
And I'm docking it a point for just insulting the memory of Pacific Rim.
So we've given our things. We're going to go in the spoilers. I swear to God, if you don't turn this off and you want to see this movie, shame on you. But
we can also save you some money too.
But to Elliot, you'll save some money. But the first thing I'm going to say is a major spoiler, but it happens pretty early on.
All right, tell us.
And it's specifically something that Elliot I know is going to want to talk about. It's Mako's death.
It's so fucking unnecessary.
Yeah, that was... Okay, I'm not saying there's a conspiracy here, but it feels like...
They want to market to the Chinese market?
We gotta market it to China. We're going to get this same Chinese chick who's in goddamn everything now.
Yeah.
Which she's a fine actress.
She's in Iron Man 3, though. I just
But
realized
we're going to
that.
destroy Japan.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm reading too much into it, but it did feel like we swapped out one Asian,
No, they totally did.
one Asian protagonist for another, and
But because they're Asian, we're not going to quite give them the spotlight they need, just enough to not get in trouble.
The main thing is that her death is just completely out of nowhere.
It's completely useless to the plot.
It's very useless to the plot. It's for an emotional beat for a character we don't know very well.
he doesn't nothing. Man, I mean, considering this character, considering Mako is I think from what I know and what I've seen around,
This should have just been a
blogosphere,
Giganticast episode.
It's all right. She's a beloved character.
She's the heart of the series.
People started calling it the Mako Mori test instead of the Bechdel test.
Wow.
Like, she's important to a lot of people. And she has almost no role in this.
They just discard her.
She gets
I was so mad.
she gets taken out, and it feels like Jake Pentecost. He feels like he doesn't really give a shit. Like he's like,
No,
oh,
I didn't see
my
that.
sister that I never really got to talk to was mentioned in the last movie because it was more about her and my dad. But I'm totally here too, and I don't know. I docked major points.
That was the one thing that I actually thought that character development wise that he got, because that stuck with him all the way till when he destroys that other mobile suit.
No, but it's
Yeah,
like...
I keep saying mobile suit.
Mobile suit.
Jaeger, sorry.
But it's just that if you're going to kill a character like that with that stature from the first movie, you better make it worth you better advance the plot in a meaningful way. It better advance the character's arc. It better do something more fundamental to the plot. What it does is like if you weren't going to use that character right, just leave her out the movie. Just say she retired. Like, just have her make a cameo, and just don't go play around in somebody else's playground and play with their toys.
Yeah,
and just smash him up. He's a fucking tourist. Like, and now the canon is that this fucking hero, one of the best characters,
saved the goddamn world,
is just dead in a fucking
She died
helicopter.
sending a tweet.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I will bet you money, and I'm not going to say one way or the other where I would be, I don't really know if I have the right to say how I view it in terms of this. I would bet you money that there's going to be an article, rightly, in my opinion, saying that this is a little sexist.
She got fridged.
Yeah.
Oh, she absolutely did.
And it's just like, you took a very strong female character and just pushed her to
an
the side.
iconic character.
A good way of explaining why that's so bad, even for me, is that on the polar opposite side is what happens with Charlie Day's character. Is that Charlie Day's character gets an arc that makes 100% sense.
That was probably one of the best aspects of the film, was that he, turns out, has been in, which is something a lot of fans have been theorizing for a while, is that he's been infected by the precursors. And he's the villain of the movie. Which I thought was really creative.
I was really happy with
And he
that.
sells it really well.
Well, Charlie Day is an amazing actor. We don't give him enough credit for a lot of things. Like, there's an interview with the guy who plays Mac on It's Always Sunny, and they're like, what do you think about the fact he gets to do all these movies? Like, I'm just glad that everyone else realizes just how fucking talented that we know he was.
I mean, he basically is playing his character from Always Sunny when he's in conspiracy mode.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But that's why...
Pepe Sylvia, Pepe Kaiju, Pepe Kaiju.
Yeah, but then the main thing is that his relationship with Gottlieb, played by Bern Gorman, is also
British.
Yeah, which is also really well done too, because it's the other part of the first movie that is used pretty well in the sequel.
He really comes into his own, because I feel like he got a little overshadowed by Newt in the first movie, and in this one I feel like he gets to he gets to do a little more. He gets to have a little bit more of the spotlight. He's not as eccentric a character, but what is funny is my buddies over at Toho Kingdom interviewed Gorman recently, and apparently he is super stoked for the new Godzilla movies. He's apparently a Godzilla fan, so I'm giving
super
him
happy about that. Yeah,
full points for that. But those two characters I thought were handled pretty well. I'm trying to, and there's this list of these side characters who are.
It just felt like they were ticking boxes. Like, it felt like I was watching
Asian guy, Russian person.
It felt like I was watching Captain Planet.
Indian guy.
It was like no, I'm not kidding. It felt like a movie that was made by a focus group.
I know, I'm just laughing because it's funny.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna have these groups, and I'm all for representation, But you have to make it mean something within the story.
Well, you have to make them... It would be nice to make them into characters.
And not caricatures.
Right, and okay, here's the thing. And I know some people are going to be saying, oh, well, but this is my Pacific Rim hater voice. Well, but this movie... in the previous movie, some people will say that, well, the Russians and the Chinese and the whatever in the previous movie, they didn't mean anything. Yeah, but you remember them because
they're super memorable.
They have presence.
The Jaegers are memorable. Everything.
Yeah, that's the thing about
them.
the Jaegers in this movie. The Jaegers were kind of all this generic, kind of the same.
You can tell the budget was turned down because when Gypsy Danger in the first movie moved, you could almost feel every strut.
She felt heavy.
Yeah, whereas this one, it just feels like they didn't have the money to really animate and render everything that they needed to render for that. So it felt like instead of it feeling like there's a bunch of different pieces all straining against each other and all these hydraulics working, this felt like one just robot.
Well,
didn't really have to work that hard to move.
And this was something that Mike and I were talking about at the end of the movie as the credits were rolling. Now, I prefer my monsters to be guys in suits and my buildings to be miniature, but and I felt, although when I saw the original Pacific Rim, I felt that movie really did sell the idea of CGI applied to giant robots and giant monsters because you felt the weight of them, you felt the scale of them, and that's quite frankly not something you can really get with guys in suits and miniatures. You can sometimes, but it's really tricky. Yeah. Now, with this movie, they might as well have just been guys in suits because there was no
there was no consequence. They had this one scene in the climax with Tokyo where like there's this underground bunker that just goes down super fast, and like, everybody's been evacuated. This is not Tokyo
15
1.
people just died.
This is not Evangelion. They're not underground. You just killed everybody. But I think we probably need to.
Yeah,
we probably
should,
need to.
I mean, I could probably, like you said,
we could go on for all night.
We could. I'll have to reassemble this council for a gigantic cast on the line
because the main thing is that at the end of the day, if you're going to watch this movie, just understand that you may have a different take than your friend.
Yeah, and just to echo, if you're going to watch this movie, just please come into it knowing it's not the first movie.
It's not the first movie.
Not the first movie
It is a disposable Saturday morning cartoon. It's another episode of Power Rangers and not one of the higher tier ones.
Yeah, this is like Power Rangers Wild Force.
It's not so bad.
I'm not touching that one.
Oneofus.net has been your one-stop shop for all things geek for years. But there's a side to them many of you have never heard. The subscription side. Subscribe and listen to great podcasts like The Breakfast Pub, The Original Gentleman, and the Watch a Movie With Us series. Head on over to oneofus.net and don't forget your towel.